Well, let me tell you something that you already know, and probably if you didn't know, then this is time to hear it. Okay? Every time you see a successful person, according to your own perception or according to your own definition, they actually applied this formula. So that means that exactly what I'm about to share with you, it's actually the exact thing that they used, they incorporated and assimilated in their lives, and that what brought a difference. And I know right now you're looking forward into getting what we call the financial freedom. That does not come easy. It comes with the sacrifice, consistency, and discipline. And today I'm going to make it easier for you to understand exactly what does it mean. And if you can read from the title or the reason as to why you did click, you got that, hey, always widen the gap between your expenses and your income. And do what? Save or invest the difference. You see, that difference is what brings a difference between person A and person B. And what exactly does it mean? So stick around and watch this video to the end. Guess what? Because at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you areas where you can put this money and realize a difference in your life. And that's what difference brings, a difference between you and other person. All right? So stick around. So now, this is the point. Once you understand what are your expenses is basically that what you need to have each and every day to actually keep your wheel running. You need to eat, you need to dress, you need to pay your rent, you need to pay your school fees, you need to pay your debt, you need to support your family members, you need to pay your tithe, all those are your expenses. You need to set them aside and understand these are my expenses. Now you go to the other end and ask yourself, now what are my income? Now, or what is my income? Now, once you realize your income, now try to draw a difference between the two. And by the way, when I say a difference, I mean like not a negative difference, I mean a positive difference. In that, like, let's say you're earning 100 Gs at the end of the month, you draw a difference between that, meaning that you leave, let's say 70, 60, and then the 41 is what we call the difference, and that's what you set aside for the investment purposes. Now, when I say widen the gap between the income and that's what you apply for or what you have for your expenses, that's what brings the difference. Now, when exactly do you come up with this kind of a scenario? The only way you come up with this kind of a scenario is to always understand your numbers. Yesterday or the other day, I made a video that explained to you, always live below your means. All right, it's kind of mirror to that, but the point here is this difference. Now, today I'm going to take you through and explain to you. See, when I say create a great difference between the two of you, see, in most of the time you find like, hey, guess what? You might find somebody who is earning 300,000 at the end of the month, and what they manage to save, you realize that they are saving like 25,000 at the end of the month. And then you might have somebody who is earning, let's say, 85,000, you see, at the end of the day, and they're saving the similar amount of money, 25,000. You know what? Whom would you love to get into a deal with? This dude, let's say person A is earning that and person B is earning that amount of money. Person A earning a salary of 300,000 managed to save 25,000. Person B earns 85,000 and managed to save 25,000. Who between the two have actually created a big difference between the two? All right, so you realize the 301, you realize the difference what they have created, it's actually quite narrow. But when you take the 85K one, you realize that the difference is quite big. That's why they have actually saved more money. With regards to these guys, even if, by the way, you say that 300,000 even manages to save 40,000, even if they manage to save 40,000, still the difference between these two individuals is not the same. This guy has actually saved way more compared to this guy. So if you were to subject this guy into this amount of salary, probably this guy would have invested or would have maybe saved us around almost even more than 100K. That's very true, more than 100,000. So you realize that the purchasing power between these two guys will bring a difference. It's only that this person B does not have that exposure, does not have that, what we call the opportunity of actually saving more than that. So what's my point? My point is this: widen the difference, these are your expenses, all right? And the other end, these are your rather, let's start with this end and say, this is your income, all right? This is your income. And the other side, this is your expenses. All right, what you're supposed to do, provide a big difference between the two. All right, let's say here you earn, let's say your amount of money, let's just talk an average amount of money like 55,000. This is what you make per month, 55,000. All right, that is a month salary. And then what you actually, your expenses goes towards, let's say like 35,000, or let's say 30,000. So the difference between these two is 20,000. Now, this difference of 20,000 is what now you channel towards investment. By the way, nowadays it's not a must that you wait until you accumulate a certain amount of money for you to invest. No, if you can manage to salvage 20,000 out of the 55,000, I'm actually giving figures there. Don't crucify me and say, hey, you get what I'm saying. So now, if you can be able to salvage 20,000, in a given month, and you channel this towards an investment. And what are the examples of investments whereby you can actually be able to invest this amount of money? Variety of them. A, you can decide to go the circles way. B, you can go what you call the MMF or the money market fund. C, you can actually decide to go the stocks. You can actually invest on stocks. D, you can actually go to the index fund. E, you can actually go into what we call the balance fund. D, you can F, you can actually go about to what you call the bond fund and what have you. All right. So there are a variety of areas where you can be able to channel this amount of money. And if you can go by the example that I gave last time here, and I explained and I told you guys, hey, guess what? If you can be able to go ahead and invest this amount of money, say in a particular area. For example, I gave an example of a circles. And remember what I said, if you did what the previous video. And by the way, go check about that. I gave a video about, hey, how we can be able to compound your only 10K. And at the end of the 2.5 years, you have accumulation of 400,000. Can you just imagine if you salvage this 20,000 in the same period of time? So you're gonna get yourself close to 800,000. So assuming if you make that decision today, by the time you are going for the next general election, you're gonna be talking about ups of millions and what have you. And by the way, let me tell you one secret. If your plan is less than 5 years, that's a short term. For the investment purposes, we talk of more than 5 years and above. That's what we say you're thinking about investment. All right. So what's my point? Now, this 20,000 that you've actually managed to salvage, you channel it towards an investment, and you do so each and every month. Let's do a very simple mathematics and explain to you. Now, if you channel this 20,000 at the end of the month, all right, each and every month, at the end of the year, you have your 240,000. 240,000. This amount of money attracts an interest. Let's say you did pick a circle that is giving you, let's say, talk of maybe 15%. 15% of this is gonna give you a lot of good money, because 10% of this is around 24,000. So you can give it around 30,000. So this one plus 30,000 makes it to be 270,000. All right. The next year, that is year one. All right. 1 year. The second year, you realize this amount of money now attracts the next 15,000. 15%. You get yourself is maybe ups of, it's maybe this give you ups to 300, and maybe this can give 310,000. 310,000 plus you've been doing the same contribution. So you have the 310,000 plus 240,000. Okay, plus the 30,000. So you have the 310,000. So you have the 310,000. Okay, plus 270,000. So how much have you gotten? Come on. This is mathematics. This is my MBC. Like, hey, the math is not mathing. This is the power of compounding. So that is exactly how you actually come up with a very outrageous amount of money, and you even ask yourself, wow, how is it going out there? And by the way, somebody by the name Albert Einstein said, he said that the compounding is actually one of the wonders of the world. All right. So if you take advantage of it, you always celebrate. If you don't, then you're going to pay for it. So the point is this: create a difference. That's the genesis of our conversation. And don't forget about it. Create a difference between how much you actually use or your expenses to that what you actually earn as your income. And how do you create that difference? Creating the difference, I gave a very simple example from my previous video, is living below your means. Let's say you do not have any other extra way of making money. That is the only way that you have, and you are earning 50,000. So if you are getting your 50K at the end of the month, this is the only money that you have. All right. So the only way you can create a great difference between the two is you sit down. If you're married, if you have a partner there, if you have a family there, you sit them down and have a discussion. You tell them, hey, you know what? I've realized if you continue with this the same character with a certain period of time, hey, we are just prolonging the inevitable, and we're gonna get ourselves into problems. All right. So the only thing you can be able to do, you sit down and actually agree with them. What areas do you think we can actually go ahead and cut our expenses so that we realize some of the cash, so that we can up the basket of our investment for the purposes of our future? And I always tell people, there are some of the areas that actually uses our money, but we cannot even realize it. And I say something is about the calls and the internet. This is an area that you can check it. meaning that you are supposed to do what we call, you can do what we call the postpaid, or you can do the monthly subscription, whereby maybe with 1500 you got your calls, you got your call minutes, that is, you have your what we call the bundles, you have all what kind of offer that you're given out there. The other thing is actually doing what we call the bulky shopping. If it's about food, you do them in bulky, you don't pay what we call the poverty tax. The other thing that you can cut this cost is about these things that you grab, the impulse buy things. That coffee that you grab, let's say regularly, maybe 2 times a week, and one coffee goes from, let's say, 300, that's 600. 600 per week times 4, that's 2,400. You can salvage that, all right? Sometimes I always tell people, if you're a coffee addict and you really need to get the espresso, the matcha, then what have you, go buy that coffee making machine. All right, it will go deep when you're purchasing that machine, but at the end of the day, you house it in your home and you can be getting the espresso, the Americano, matcha, and latte, whatever thing you love to get out there. You can salvage that amount of money. The other thing is about these things called the thrift shopping, the impulse buying. Okay, always have the budget about your money so that at least you can realize where the cash is going is going. And sometimes there was a certain lady who did approach me and asked me, hey, I cannot even tell where my money is going. And I said, hey, guess what, this is what we're gonna do. All right, because your situation was actually way worse. And I told her, guess what, this is what you're gonna do. We're gonna take a whole 30 days. All right, don't change nothing, don't change nothing. All right, just do exactly what you do. Grab that coffee whatever you grab, but this is what I want you to do. I want you to be noting down each and everything that you're buying, each and every occasion where you're using your money. Just note it down. Get a pen and paper somewhere. Once you usually go outing with your ladies, with your guys, put it down. Once you buy a coffee, put it down. If it's a drink, put it down. If it's an outing out somewhere, put it down. If the transport, the fare, the credit, the calls, the subscription, everything, just give me a total expenses in 1 month. And then after that, she did send me all the expenses. And I said, hey, guess what? Now, this is time now you come to my clinic and we talk about money. This is how we do it. Now, this is not what's necessary. This is unnecessary. And then we started to classify the three things, or we started to classify all those things in three categories: the must have, the good to have, and the nice to have. And then we realized most of the thing that she's doing there is actually the nice to have. It's not so necessary. And she's sacrificing the parent money, that hard earned income, towards achieving what we call the nice to have. So from there, she realized, hey, guess what? I think most of my money is actually going to waste, and these are the areas. And then she started sealing all those loopholes. And let me tell you one thing, in 2 months' time, she made me a call, and guess what she did? She bought me a coffee. It's as simple as that. Hey, I'm not saying that you should buy me a coffee, but the point is this: once you realize where your money is going, it's actually the most important thing, because that is the only way you can create a difference between that what you earn and actually that what you anticipate to get in the future. Guess what, guys? I'm about to say this is the end of my video, but I cannot do so without telling you, if you would like to have a conversation with me, you can always grab my number from my profile bio, or rather from my description of this specific video. Down below there on the description, there is a certain number of mine there. You can grab that number, give me a call or conversation. I offer those services pertaining to financial management, investments, and anything related to business. So if that's a cup of your coffee, and I bet it should be, then consider this place a home. Give me a call and we can talk business. And don't forget this: just like another iron, so do we learn from each other. So comment down below, tell me what you think, and from there, we can talk businesses and we can move to the next level. But don't forget this: always, at all the time, widen the gap between that what you earn and that what you put as your expenses. And it's only that way you can be able to realize the profits and the growth of your investments. And also, the way you can realize what you can achieve, what we call the financial freedom. For now, it's a goodbye, but don't forget, see you in the next one. Goodbye.